Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering the Sibylline Oracles, Book 8, lines 251 through 500.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, I would say it is a mouthful.
Yeah, and what are you reading from today?
Oh, well, you see, today I have the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Apocalyptic Literature and Testaments.
Is that by James H. Charlesworth?
Yeah, edited by James H. Charlesworth. And
is this section translated by J.J. Collins?
Yes, J.J. Collins.
No way!
The commentary in this section, about this section, is also by J.J. Collins.
Incredible.
That's wild.
You've blown my mind.
Yeah. We've never ever had access to that information until just now. Mm-hmm. This is the first time you're hearing of it. I know, it's crazy.
All right.
So in today's reading, we're going to start off with a poem on Christ.
A poem?
Yeah, a poem on Christ. Are you excited to read this poem?
Oh, geez. Well, as we established last time, this is basically Christian edition.
Yeah, there's a big this book is basically a mishmash.
Yeah. So prior to, I think it was 216. Yeah,
216.
Prior to 216, it's like a completely different thing.
It is, yeah.
Now it's Christian. So here we have a poem on Christ, and I'll begin.
Sounds good.
Moses prefigured him, stretching out his holy arms, conquering Amalek by faith, so that the people might know that he is elect and precious with God, his Father, the staff of David and the stone he promised.
Okay, Amalek, was that, I forget if that was a king or a god?
Apparently, this is referencing the Epistle of Barnabas 12:2.
Oh, the Epistle of Barnabas, it should be in one of these books, isn't it? I'll check this other volume. But I feel like the Epistle of Barnabas is in one of these. But this is Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, so actually it's probably not, right?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. But, that would be something we could probably read. Mm-hmm. We should definitely read that one, actually.
Yeah, we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, because this is Old Testament stuff. Yeah. So.
The one who has believed in him will have eternal life. For he will come to creation not in glory, but as a man, pitiable, without honor or form, so that he might give hope to the pitiable. He will give form to perishable flesh, and heavenly faith to the faithless, and he will fashion the original man, formed by the holy hands of God, whom the snake craftily caused to err, to go to the fate of death and receive knowledge of good and evil, so as to abandon God and serve mortal customs. 4. The universal ruler took him into his council, first of all from the beginning, and said, "Let us both, child, make mortal tribes, copying our likeness. Now I with my hands."
Okay, so yeah, Amalek was, he was the son of Eliphaz, who was himself the son of Esau.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then that's where we get the Amalekites. Yeah.
Yes. That's biblical Eliphaz. Not Eliphaz Levi, the occultist.
No, not that one.
That one's a lot cooler.
I don't think we've done anything about the occultist.
No, we haven't.
Okay,
we should eventually.
Eventually, yeah. We have plenty of time to do that. It's not like Eliphaz is going anywhere.
Yeah. So here, God is talking to Jesus, right? It's saying, "Let us both, child, make mortal tribes, copying our likeness. Now I with my hands, then you with a word, will tend our form so that we may produce a common construct."
So if you remember,
if Jesus is God and God formed human beings, then Jesus must have formed human beings.
Well, yeah.
Right? So this is how they're justifying it, that the Father makes with his hands and the Son makes with a word.
Yeah, or he's like because this would be like a little bit different from New Testament stuff, right? Of course,
Right.
not just more in depth, but also with this, it kind of is much closer to wisdom, if you remember.
Yes. Mindful, therefore, of this resolution, he will come to creation bearing a corresponding copy to the Holy Virgin, illuminating by water at the same time through the hands of elders, doing all with a word, healing every disease. He will stop the winds with a word. He will calm the raging sea by walking on it with feet of peace and with faith.
Yeah, because if you remember, Jesus is the Word.
Yeah. And what we're basically getting here is a recounting of things that Jesus does. So this is going to be a lot of familiar ground for those who are following our Atheist Sunday School. From 5 loaves and a fish of the sea, he will satisfy 5,000 men in the desert, and taking all the leftover fragments, he will fill 12 baskets for the hope of the peoples. He will call on the souls of the blessed. He will love the wretched, who will do good in return for evil when they are mocked, beaten, and whipped, desiring poverty. Perceiving everything and seeing everything and listening to everything, he will observe the heart and lay it bare for trial. He himself is the hearing and mind and sight and reason of all, who creates forms, to whom everything is subject, who saves the dead and cures every disease.
Oh, so the way that they're interpreting this is the Christ would be an aspect of God, essentially, or multiple of them, instead of being the whole God, which isn't too far from modern Trinitarian theology.
Yes. Yeah. But they still have dialogue.
Yeah, they still have dialogue.
Weird. Later, he will come into the hands of lawless and faithless men. Also, there are multiple accounts of the Passion narrative in the Sibylline Oracles, but this section is quoted by Lactantius. So, there you go. Later he will come into the hands of lawless and faithless men, and they will give blows to God with unholy hands, and poisonous spittings with polluted mouths. Then he will stretch out his back and give it to the whips, for he will hand over to the world the Holy Virgin. Also, Kerfus omits this verse as doubtful.
Oh, okay. So is it because we didn't get that in the Gospels? At least.
Right. She wasn't handed over.
No.
Not at all.
But that might be a reference to Revelation, maybe? Because there is a very, it's Revelation, so it's a very exaggerated scene, I think, in there that does have the Virgin.
So some Catholics talk about the Assumption of Mary.
Sure.
As like an ascended being like Enoch.
Yeah.
And maybe this is pointing towards like an early Holy Mother narrative.
Because it definitely was important. I'm not exactly sure for how long, because there was the term Theotokos, which would be Mother of God. And that was eventually that came to be disliked by Nestorius, and Nestorius, because of that controversy, because he was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't call her Mother of God, maybe we should call her Mother of Christ, that'd be better. But then the church was like, whoa, you're going too far there. So then they had a whole ass council about it, which I actually did. That was the Ephesus one, I think.
Oh.
Was it Ephesus? Yeah, I think I did one on Ephesus, right? I already did the one on Ephesus, so I think it's that one. So that was one of the controversies there, and basically the whole issue of Nestorianism was discussed. And I don't even think Nestorius was there for that. I feel like he should have been, but he wasn't. But either way, You can go watch the video on that council if you're interested.
After you watch this show.
Yeah, after you watch the show, obviously.
Yeah.
But either way,
okay.
Yeah, it is pretty ancient.
Mm-hmm. Beaten, he will be silent, lest anyone recognize who he is, whose son, and whence he came, so that he may speak to the dead. And he will wear the crown of thorns, for made of thorns, the crown of chosen men is an eternal delight. They will stab his sides with a reed on account of their law. For by winds shaken by another wind, the inclinations of the soul are turned from wrath and change. But when all these things of which I have spoken are fulfilled, then for him every law will be dissolved, from which from the beginning was given in teachings to men on account of a disobedient people. He will...
wait, hold on. So, what was the first part of that section again with the laws? Was that laws being overturned?
The laws will be dissolved.
Okay.
From which from the beginning was given in teachings to men on account of a disobedient people. So this is like a dispensational thing, right? So there was this dispensation to Jews because they were a disobedient people, right? And then after Jesus' death, when he sacrifices himself for the sins of everyone, like Odin sacrifices himself to himself, right?
Right. Well, okay, so hold on. So if I remember properly, so Odin, he wanted to... no, I think it's something else. That's when he lost his eye, right?
Odin, he plucks out his eye and he puts it into the well of Midomir in order to get knowledge of the runes.
Right, knowledge of the runes.
In order to get like some additional magical power, he sacrifices himself to himself by hanging himself on Yggdrasil, because sacrifices to Odin were often made by hanging. So there you go. Jesus sacrifices himself to himself to forgive the sins of all the people. Well, when he does that, apparently, according to the eighth Sibyl, or the Christian eighth Sibyl, according to the eighth Sibyl, that dissolves the previous law.
Right, but remember, if you remember the whole Jesus story about, not a jot or tittle of the law.
Yeah. Will be removed until
all
everything
has
come to pass.
Which would include, like, the whole new world thing.
Yeah, and even Matthew talks about how the law extends for all time, but Jesus' word extends beyond time.
Right.
So the law is supposed to be continuous. It would not dissolve.
Timeless words.
At least according to Matthew. I'm not sure... Because if this Sibyl is basing it off of a different source, there might be a different approach to Jesus that they're taking.
Yeah, because if you remember, it's Jesus was a fan of reinterpretation.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I'm not like totally like against the idea of that, but it wouldn't be unlike the general Christian community at the time to reinterpret passages, because they disagreed with each other all the time. Still do.
Right. All right. He will stretch out his hands and measure the entire world. They will give him
the whole world in his hands.
Yeah. That's. Yeah. They gave him gall for food and vinegar to drink. All right. So now we're in the past tense, and then we go back to the future tense. They will show forth this table of inhospitality. The veil of the temple will be rent, and in midday there will be dark, monstrous night for 3 hours.
Yeah. Also, if you remember, if this, I believe this one was written in Greek, right? So maybe the way he's translating, it could be like an aorist tense, in which case, it would be. It could easily be his historical present.
To add emphasis.
Yeah.
For no longer with secret law and temple must one serve the phantoms of the world. That which had been hidden was again made manifest when the eternal sovereign came down to earth. He will come to Hades, announcing hope for all the holy ones, the end of ages and last day, and he will complete the fate of death when he has slept the third day. And then, returning from the dead, he will come to light. First of the resurrection, showing a beginning to the elect, having washed off their former vices with the waters of an immortal spring, so that, born from above, they may no longer serve the lawless customs of the world. First, then, the Lord was seen clearly by his own, incarnate as he was before, and he will show in hands and feet 4 marks fixed in his own limbs, east and west and south and north. So here the body of Jesus is taken as a metaphor for the world, the body of earth, right?
Yeah. And so could they be... I'm not sure if they would be referencing the 4 marks as like stuff from the cross, though.
Right.
It could be.
But they're named as the cardinal directions.
Yeah, they are named as the cardinal directions. So I guess I'm not entirely too sure if that's supposed to be.
Well, I think that it's supposed to be a reference to like the widespread.
No, I know that it would mean that, right?
Yeah.
But just having four marks instead of just calling them, this is east, this is west.
No, the marks are references to his hands and feet.
Yeah, I know, I get that, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I'm wondering if, like, while the marks are the references, are the marks imagined to be like the holes in his hands and feet, or something else entirely, or if they're just more generally like a designation of directions.
I mean, I think it's referencing the holes in his hands and feet, but using that as a metaphor.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm wondering about. Yeah. So, and I actually did look into this about Roman crucifixions. So what we have is your arms are kind of like tied over, like the top part of the cross, right? Tied like over and under, right? That's what you get, over and under. And then how in modern crucifixes we have his feet kind of nailed through. That wouldn't be exactly what you got. Instead, you would have like they did use nails, but they would do it like on the sides of the ankle, like through the ankle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And into the wood. That's what they would do. And we actually have evidence of that. We have an actual foot. We have an actual fucking foot that is nailed to a post like that.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
it's intense. It's actually more intense than the other way.
right.
Wow.
They both suck. Okay?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely.
For so many kingdoms of the world will accomplish the unlawful, blameworthy action as our archetype. Rejoice, holy daughter Sion, who have suffered much. Your king himself comes in, mounted on a foal, appearing gentle to all, so that he may lift our yoke of slavery, hard to bear, which lies on our neck, and undo the godless ordinances and constraining bonds.
Of course, reference there to the foal being to not only when Jesus does it in the Gospels, but when that's supposed to be a reference to Zechariah about him coming in on a foal.
Yeah. Know that he is your God, as he is Son of God. Honor him and keep him in your heart, and love him from your soul, and bear his name. This whole Son of God thing.
Do you know what Christopher means?
Yes. This whole Son of God thing. Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? Like, you have God here who he's presented as like a kingly figure.
Yeah.
So the Son of God, Prince of Peace, right? Also identified with the king, right? So, it seems strange that they would go for that one back in Judges. No, not Judges. In Samuel. Samuel, they talk about how the only reason that they implemented a monarchy was because the other nations around them were implementing a monarchy, and God didn't even want them to implement a monarchy. So why they adopted like this monarchy system in their theology later on is like an essential key element of it is really strange.
Yeah, that's definitely true because the reason that they did it in Samuel was because the people really wanted it, and God was, you're right, that God did not want them to have that, but he was like, hey, if they keep asking, I guess I'll give it to you guys, but here's how you should do it.
Yeah. And like when it comes to Christianity, they phrase the entire thing as like a royal thing. God has a throne, that there's a heavenly kingdom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, it's so weird. Anyways, honor him and keep him in your heart and love him from your soul and bear his name. Set aside the former customs and wash from his blood, for he is not propitiated by your laments or prayers. Since he is imperishable, he pays no attention to perishable sacrifices, except when intelligent mouths bring forth a hymn.
Oh, okay. So now they are. So it's clear that whatever sect wrote this, they did not do much sacrificing, but they did like to hymn. They did like to sing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's also like the proper sacrifice thing,
Right.
too.
Yeah, it has to be a proper sacrifice.
But also, yeah, I mean, as far as like the royalty thing goes, that does happen in the Old Testament too. It's just strange how it happens when it's like so contrary to what they established earlier on.
That is true, yeah. And for sacrifices in general, I believe there was a portion, I forget where it was, but God did point out that he didn't care so much about the sacrifice, right? But about the person doing it.
Right. Sacrifices that are made poorly with bad animals or with bad intents.
Yeah.
Right. Those are not acceptable.
No.
Know who he is, and then you will see the begetter. And I'm going to hand this off to you. I've read about 100 lines.
Okay. All right, but that was the end of the section.
Yeah, that was the end of this poem.
The poem on Christ.
On Christ.
Hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you haven't. I don't know why you haven't. And you should also share it around to a whole bunch of platforms like the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Ticks of Talks, if you can do that.
Whoa.
Maybe you can. I don't know. Although you know who I met up with recently?
Oh.
I met up with Joe and Rob, and they were meeting with an assistant director of American Atheists.
Oh.
And I don't know exactly what the plan is, if they're going to try to do something like do an event, or if they're just setting up more local stuff. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
What the plan is. But I'll keep you guys updated on all that.
Fair enough.
You guys and audience included. Yeah. So did have a little chat.
Well, hopefully if they have an event, they don't invite Sargon of Akkad.
And people on the opposite side of the political spectrum, specifically for it did not go well last time.
Or creepy historians who drunkenly hit on random atheist women at their conference.
Right, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Bunch of climbers.
Bunch of what?
Climbers.
Climbers? Like rock climbers?
No.
Social ladder.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. I've never heard that term used before.
They should invite Aaron.
Good.
They should invite Aaron. That'd be very simple to get Aaron to go over
Aaron's
there.
down to do anything.
He pretty much is.
He's adventuring all over the world.
He is, yeah.
Have you seen his car?
Isn't it like a Jeep or something?
Yeah, it's like this intense Jeep that he put horns on and shit.
That sounds like Aaron, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. He posts pictures of it on his Facebook.
Yeah. So I'm sure if they're doing an event, he'd totally be invited. But anyways, here's eschatological disturbances. So then, in time, all the elements of the world will be bereft. Air, land, sea, light of blazing fire, and heavenly dome, and night, and all days will rush together into one, into an utterly desolate form. For all the stars of luminaries will fall from heaven, and no longer will well-winged birds fly on the air, nor will there be walking on earth, for all wild beasts will perish. So it sounds like everything's going back to its
Yes.
original form.
There's the destruction by fire
No,
on the
not-
day of Yahweh.
Not just destruction by fire. This is specifically everything coming back together as it was.
Right.
It's losing all form.
But this can be interpreted in different ways depending on the philosophical influences of the author. So in a lot of ancient Greek literature, they come from a material monist perspective, right? So Thales says everything is full of gods, right? Heraclitus has this different view about water and fire and stuff. But basically, they had this like classical ancient element system, right? Earth and wind and water and fire. And so on.
The classics.
Yeah. Now, some of the pre-Socratic philosophers would come to the conclusion that everything is fundamentally made of water, and they did so by being like, "Oh, look, our land is like coming out of the water. It must be floating on top of it and made of it, or something like that kind of stuff." But others would come to the conclusion that everything's made of fire. So, if someone is coming from a philosophical tradition that has like this fire-based material monist perspective, then this cleansing fire in the day of Yahweh would function exactly like that. Right, by taking everything, combining it into one, and returning it to its like primordial substance.
Yeah. There will be no voices of men or beasts or birds. The world in disorder will hear no useful sound. The deep sea will resound with a great sound of threat. Okay, so this is going to be in the deep sea. This kind of stands in like the whole chaos stuff from Genesis, though.
Chaos.
Right, and in other pseudepigraphy that we've read, like the abyss is beneath the sea.
That too, yeah.
So,
all the swimming creatures of the sea will die trembling. No longer will a ship bearing cargo sail on the waves. The earth, being bloodied by wars, will bellow. All the souls of men will gnash their teeth with the wailings and panic of the lawless souls, dissolving with thirst and famine and pestilence and murders, and they will call death fair, and it will evade them. For no longer will death give rest to those, or night. Often will they make request of God who rules on high in vain, and then he will manifestly turn away his face from them, for he gave 7 days of ages for repentance to erring men through the intercession of the Holy Virgin. Okay, so yeah, because she gave birth to Jesus.
So the 7 ages of repentance are like the Jesus parallel to the 7 days of creation. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
If God engages, if the Father engages in 7 acts, then Jesus also has to engage in 7 acts, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's like the same thing, but not.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a speech of God against idolatry.
Oh. A lot of these are very samey at this point. So, like, the apocalyptic, well, not apocalyptic, but the eschatological portions are very much like what we've already read.
Yeah, definitely. Because if they're coming from the same tradition, they would be at least very similar.
Yeah, and idolatry seems to be a constant.
It's a constant all throughout history.
Yeah,
it was constant, not in just the Old Testament, but in the New Testament. It was a constant in Islam too, before Muhammad and whatnot.
We even have it today.
That too, yeah.
It's called the Emmys.
Yeah, damn straight. God himself showed me all these things in my mind, and he will fulfill all the things which are spoken through my mouth. And he goes on to, this is a quotation here, or this is the beginning of his speech. I know the number of sand and the measures of sea.
Okay, it's going to be one of these.
Yeah, but do you remember where the specific question was asked? It was rhetorical.
So this was in, what was it, 4th Ezra, where Yeah, Ezra's like, well, what about this? That doesn't seem very fair. And then God's just like, do you know literally everything?
No, that was what was his fucking name? The Apocalypse of Cedroc.
Was that?
Yeah, that was the same one where he's all like, lamenting all of his limbs and stuff.
Yeah, I think this has happened a couple of times.
It must have.
I think there's actually a book in the Bible. Is there a reference to lines or anything?
Well, there's Job 38 through 41, so I guess but also, yes, 4th Ezra, you were right about that one. Because the next it starts off with, I know the number of sand and the measures of sea. I know the recesses of earth and murky Tartarus. I know the number of stars and trees and how many tribes of 4-footed animals, swimming creatures, and birds that fly, and men that are and that will be, and the dead. For I myself fashioned the forms and minds of men. For I gave right reason and I taught understanding. So obviously this is the speech from God, right? Which the Sibyl is, retelling.
Now, this is something that Christians will do too, right? When they don't have an answer for something, right? It's not that you'll get an explanation provided to you. It's that, well, God's mind is just so advanced. You can't, he knows everything.
Right, yeah.
How could he be wrong? He knows everything.
Right, yeah, exactly. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that I've been generally kind of staying out of shit like that for a while. I've been concentrating on actual serious productive stuff.
Oh, you just wait until you get into an academic shit show. So you're gonna find, if you do keep doing religious studies and start publishing in journals and stuff.
Yeah.
Each of these journals has a segment where it's just letters and editorials and stuff. So if you page through them once in a while, you'll see researchers just shit talking other researchers. So it's basically the absurd conclusions that this one Lawrence Yufa comes to are so mind-numbingly stupid that he should be barred from ever publishing ever
shit.
Again. Yeah, they'll legitimately do stuff like that.
Wow.
Not quite as inflammatory, but
right, yeah.
But
yeah.
it's kind of like that. So
yeah,
you'll run into it eventually.
I'm sure I will. But it's far less common while reading while reading that kind of stuff than the comment section.
Right.
So he knows everything, right? I who formed eyes and ears, seeing and hearing, and knowing every thought, and sharing the knowledge of all, being within, I am silent. And later I myself will test and bring about, textual break, whatever any one of mortals did in secret, coming also to the tribunal of God and telling to mortals, textual break, I understand the dumb, and I hear one who does not speak, and how much is the total height of the earth from earth to heaven. Beginning and end I know. I who created heaven and earth, for all things are from him. Yeah, for all things are from him. He knows he knows what is from the beginning to the end. For I alone am God, and there is no other God. They decree an image fashioned of wood to be mine, and shaping it with their hands a speechless idol. They honor it with prayers and unholy worship. Abandoning the Creator, they worshipped licentiousness. All have gifts from me, but give them to useless things. So that's, of course, the classic stuff against idol worship. They can't see, they can't hear. And then he's talking about, I did create things that see and hear, and I did create things that have thoughts. And these idols, they don't have any of those.
Well, yeah, it's some things are clearly better than others, right? And this lifeless figure, right? You would say it's beneath humans, right? So this is the same thing as what happened in the life of Adam and Eve, and also in the Quran when Satan or Iblis refuses to bow to Adam as the creation of God because he's like, I'm literally better than that. Yeah. So why would I bow to it?
Bow to the cat.
Which he did have a point.
Apparently, it's the same point that they have for idolatry, right?
Yeah, and furthermore, I'm not sure about the Quran, but in the life of Adam and Eve, right? It wasn't even Satan's fault. The thing is, it wasn't even God demanding it. Michael just did it. He just did it and then expected everybody else to do it.
Yeah.
Because every other angel was technically under him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Satan.
Yeah, still, Michael's to blame. That entire thing is on Michael.
Mm-hmm.
So they abandoned the creator and whatnot. And they think all these things useful, like my honors, making burnt offerings at meals as to their own dead. For they burn flesh, and, sacrificing bones full of marrow on altars, they pour blood to demons and light lamps for me, the giver of light. Mortals pour libations of wine as if to a thirsty god, getting drunk to no purpose for useless idols. I mean, hey, last time I checked, do you remember Purim?
Yeah.
People love getting drunk on Purim.
They love getting drunk on Passover.
That too, yeah. I mean, people just love getting drunk, but on Purim especially, they're meant to like party hard.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I mean, they're not giving these things to idols or anything, but they are partying hard.
Right. But the idea is that God has no need for any of this stuff.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. But I guess we're getting drunk to no purpose. But I guess in the context of like Purim or something, I guess there would be a purpose, right, to celebrate or something.
That doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count. So I have no need of your sacrifice or libation, or polluted burnt offerings, or most hated blood. For they will do these things to the memory of kings and tyrants, for dead demons, as if they were heavenly beings, performing a godless and destructive worship. Godless ones also call their images gods, abandoning the Creator, thinking to have all hope and life from them, trusting in dumb and speechless things with evil result. They are ignorant of good end. What's interesting here is that they specifically say that so he says that he understands the dumb, right?
I believe it.
Yeah, so he says that he understands the dumb and he knows what people are thinking and in fact creates it, right?
Well,
but
he
here
knows everything.
Right. So as God, his perception of this would be so there are two possibilities, right? So you have the Sibyl either writing as if they know God's thoughts, or let's say this is also an actual speech of God, right? Let's say these are actually things they said. So if they are actually things that a God would have said, then God is basically saying that these people are being evil on purpose. But if this was, from the Sibyl, then it would be exactly what you would get. You'd get a person who doesn't actually understand what they're doing. He doesn't, who doesn't understand their mind, and is able to throw these polemics at them. I myself proposed two ways of life and death, and proposed to the judgment to choose good life. But they turned eagerly to death and eternal fire. Man is my image, having right reason. Set for him, you, a pure and unbloodied table. Okay, yeah, I guess has to be clean, right? Can't have blood on there.
Right.
Having filled it with good things, and give the bread to the hungry, and drink to the thirsty, and clothes to the naked body, supplying them from your own labors with holy hands. Accept the afflicted, and stand by the suffering, and provide for me, the living one, a living sacrifice, sowing now on water. There seems to be a reference here. That's apparently a Greek proverb, sowing on water. So that I also may one day give you immortal fruits, and you will have eternal light and unfading life. They had a whole thing for that.
Right.
They had a whole tree for that.
He was very glad that didn't eat from it.
Yeah, right? Because now he can give it to them. Or what's the word I'm looking for? He's going to bait them.
Well, the secret Kabbalistic meaning of the passage is that he's going to open the minds of the people to the Sephirot of the tree, and that will grant them mystic passage.
Why are people like
through
this?
the Hechalot.
Why are people like this? When I test all by fire, for I will melt all things and separate them into clear air. I will roll up heaven, open the recesses of the earth, and then I will raise the dead, having undone fate and the sting of death. And later I will come to judgment, judging the life of pious and impious men. I will set ram by ram and shepherd by shepherd and calf by calf near each other for trial. Okay, the animals too.
Yeah.
The animals too.
Not all dogs go to heaven.
Right, yes. Some of them very clearly will not.
No.
But yeah, everyone's going to be raised for a final judgment, which we have heard plenty of times before. Whoever are convicted in the trial because they were exalted and stopped the mouth of all, so that they in envy could equally subject those who act in holy manner, ordering them to be silent, pressing on for gain. First of all, God, you ordered Ezekiel to be silent. What are we going to do about you?
Also ordered Ezekiel to eat shit. He literally ordered Ezekiel to eat shit.
Was that Ezekiel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ezekiel had to bake the bread and only eat it.
That's right.
And it was like baked on shit.
Right.
Like
that's
human feces.
Yeah, that's right. So,
which also amazing that Ezekiel is probably the first instance in our written literature of someone being essentially told to eat shit and die.
yeah, Ezekiel's whole time as a prophet is not only is he like the standout prophet amongst them, like he's far more interesting, first of all, in his visions. And second of all, he disagrees with other prophets.
Oh, yeah.
A decent amount.
Yeah, especially Jeremiah.
Yeah, that
Jeez.
too. And I think it was in Jeremiah, right, where he says that he's like the only prophet around.
Oh, yeah.
They were contemporaries.
When Ezekiel,
Yeah. Like that was really funny.
Yeah.
So if he did know about Ezekiel, he was just not acknowledging him or something.
That Ezekiel guy's full of shit.
Yeah, he's literally full of shit.
Yeah.
You should hear his story. Yeah?
Don't go over to his place for dinner.
Right, yeah. So yeah, everyone will be equally judged. Ordering them to be silent, pressing on for gain, will all depart then, as not approved by me. No longer will you say in sorrow, "It will be tomorrow," or "It happened yesterday." Nor worry about many days, nor spring, nor winter, nor summer, nor autumn, nor sunset, nor sunrise. For I will make a long day forever. Light will be desired. See, at some point, you're going to want night. You're going to want to not have light around.
I mean, the implication...
You probably won't have to sleep, right?
The passage of time works differently.
It would be totally different, yeah. Point. Or it would be completely meaningless at all. Yeah. Things would just be, which is fine. I get that. But also, wouldn't you kind of want it to be night at some point?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want it to be dark?
No, just go inside.
At least a little bit.
Well, if it's never night, then it's impossible for people to wait in the dark alleyways and jump out and attack people.
Yeah.
There you go. That's five heading it. Just get rid of night.
Yeah, well, that was like the whole... They keep bringing that up in the wisdom literature. It's
They do.
like, don't hide in dark alleyways and like randomly assault people. Thank you, Solomon.
Yeah, thanks.
Wisest of all human beings.
Yeah, right.
The more you know.
So there is this hymn to God. I don't know if you want to take this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shouldn't be too long until the end, maybe like 70 more verses.
Jeez, you give me a poem and then a hymn.
You know what? I had a speech from God.
Yeah, I get some other stuff.
Yeah.
Too. All right, a hymn to God. Self-begotten, undefiled, everlasting, eternal, master of heaven and might, measuring the fiery breath. He holds the scepter of thunder with a rough firebrand, and he soothes the peals of deep-sounding thunderbolts.
See, that sounds pretty cool. What are you so mad about?
Everything.
Yeah. Storming the earth, he restrains the rushing noises and he dulls the fiery whip of lightnings. He contains the unspeakable pourings of showers and storms of icy hail, missiles of clouds, and attacks of winter.
Missiles of clouds. Holy shit.
Yeah. Then there's a break.
Of course, yeah.
For they bear witness to each thing that you yourself decide to do and approve in your mind. With your Son, before all creation, you shared deliberations with equal breasts. Fashioner of men and creator of life, him you addressed with the first sweet voice from your mouth. Look, let us make a man like in respects to our form, and let us give him the life-supporting breath to have. Though he is mortal, all the things of the world will serve him. When he is fashioned of clay, we will subject all things to him. These things you said to the word, and all was done in your heart. And word is capitalized. So
Yeah, so it's supposed to be Jesus.
statements from God to Jesus. All the elements together obeyed your command, and eternal creation was arranged for a mortal creature. Heaven, air, fire, earth, land, and sea current all lived in harmony until one day the Fire Nation attacked.
Not that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
It's from Avatar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See,
Land
I
and
understood
sea
that
current.
reference.
Sun, moon, chorus of stars, mountains, night, day, sleep, waking, spirit and motion, soul and intellect, skill and voice and strength, and wild tribes of living creatures, those of swimming creatures and birds, walking creatures and amphibians and serpents and things of double nature.
The hell are those?
What?
Things of double nature?
What is a thing of double nature? There's no reference.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Thing of double nature.
Like a platypus?
Wow, that's
Maybe.
a lot of nature.
Maybe that might be the closest we can get to it. Could you read that again?
No.
Not the whole thing that he
Wild
read.
tribes of living creatures, those of swimming creatures and birds, walking creatures and amphibians and serpents and things of double nature.
Okay.
Like I thought amphibians would be things.
I would also think that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe something like a platypus, maybe a pelican or some shit like that.
Sure, a seal.
A seal, sure, yeah.
Yeah. A whale?
No.
That's
maybe, I don't know.
something, yeah.
It's mammal.
It is.
They
It
didn't
is.
know that.
But we all know about biblical literature and kinds, so I don't think mammal
Everybody knows that.
really
We
fits
need to
into
go
it.
to the Creation Museum and ask about this.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
flying fish, like anything that seems like it could exist in both realms.
Those bugs that can go underwater and fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit like that, I guess.
For all things were arranged spontaneously under your leadership. That's the end of the hymn. Now we're in another section.
Great.
The incarnation. In the last times, he changed the earth, and coming late as a new light, he rose from the womb of the Virgin Mary.
I like they have it. He rose from the womb.
Yeah, it gives the image of like alien.
Oh wow. Okay.
They burst from the
Oh
stomach.
yeah.
Yeah. So, because I was thinking, well, they don't want to say, born. That would be a little
No,
too,
no.
because the word.
That's too human.
Yeah, exactly. It's too human.
And the whole point was that he was human.
That too. That's like half. That's exactly half of it. Or or I should say, the way that they view it is supposed to be he is completely human and completely divine.
Yeah.
Which, percentage-wise doesn't make too much sense.
He's
but
the God of humans. Enjoy.
because he's the Son of Man and the Son of God.
Well, you are completely Lawrence and completely a person with a Mark of Cain tattoo.
Yes. But the thing is, those by category aren't mutually exclusive.
Not yet.
Damn it.
Yeah. So if
Well, are humans mutually exclusive to gods? Because
that's a tough call.
it is tough because it's made very clear that if they were to have eaten from the tree of life,
They would be like gods.
they would be like gods. Humans also literally contain the essence of God because
or at least
God,
part of it.
Yeah, God breathes the spirit into Adam, so that's literally part of God. So there's not that huge of a distinction. I mean, the main distinction is that the humans are made of mud, right?
Right. Yeah. That was I mentioned earlier too.
Yeah. Weird stuff. Anyways, let's continue on here. Coming from heaven, he put on a mortal form. First, then Gabriel was revealed in a strong and holy person. Second, the archangel also addressed the maiden in speech. Receive God, virgin, in your immaculate bosom. Thus speaking, he breathed in the grace of God, even to one who is always a maiden.
That's going to be at the end of the show. So the thing to comment, something about the immaculate. Tell us about your immaculate bosoms.
Yeah, at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fear and at the same time wonder seized her as she listened. She stood trembling. Her mind fluttered while her heart was shaken by the unfamiliar things she heard. But again she rejoiced, and her heart was healed by the voice. The maiden laughed and reddened her cheek, rejoicing with joy and enchanted in heart with awe. Courage also came over her. A word flew to her womb. In time it was made flesh and came to life in the womb and was fashioned in mortal form and became a boy by virgin birth. For this is a great wonder to men, but nothing is a great wonder for God the Father
Yeah,
and God the Son.
So easy. Like this is amazing for us. But for God, this is perfectly normal. So we're not even
It's not even a thing.
gonna bother.
The joyful earth fluttered to the child at its birth. The heavenly throne laughed and the world rejoiced. A wondrous new shining star was venerated by magi.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you remember it wasn't really the star that was venerated. Some people did interpret
They
it to be
also
an
were not
angel.
magi. They were wise men from the east.
Yeah,
who
they
were
came like 2
later
years later.
reinterpreted as Zoroastrian priests.
Yeah. And the thing is, when they were following the star, right? That was it. I forget. I think it was just later interpreted to be an angel, right? But they were just following the star,
Yeah, but it was like a comet or something, maybe.
Supernova.
right? And they were following it to the place of Jesus' birth,
Right.
So, but I don't remember them worshiping it.
No. They came to give gifts, like royalty.
Yeah.
Like frankincense.
Yeah.
And myrrh.
Yeah.
The newborn child was revealed in a manger to those who obey God. Cowherds and goatherds and shepherds of sheep, and Bethlehem was said to be the divinely named homeland of the Word.
Sure.
Final section. Ethical and ritual exhortation. Be humble in heart, hate bitter power, and, above all, love your neighbor as yourself, and love God from the soul and serve him. Therefore, we are also of the heavenly race of Christ, and are called brethren. Having remembrance of joy and worship, we walk the paths of piety and truth. We are never allowed to approach the sanctuaries of temples, nor to pour libations to statues, nor to honor them with prayers, nor with delightful scents of flowers, nor with the gleams of lamps, nor to embellish them with offerings, nor with breaths of incense sending up a flame on altars, nor with libation from the sacrifice of bulls, rejoicing in gore, to send blood from the slaughter of sheep as propitiatory offerings for earthly penalty, nor to defile the light of the sky with smoke from burnt offerings and polluted breezes from a fire that burns flesh, but rejoicing with holy minds and glad spirit, abundant love, and hands that bring good gifts, with gracious psalms and songs appropriate to God, we are bidden to sing your praises as imperishable and pure from all deceit, God, wise begetter of all.
And that is the end of book 8, right?
Yeah, you know what? This is book 8. Yeah, the end of book 8. Now, next week we'll be starting book 11.
Huh?
Apparently. Yeah. So
are the other ones just like too fragmentary or something?
They might be included in the fragments later.
it just goes from 8 to 11.
Dang, guys, somebody should fix that volume knob.
That's so strange. So I guess I can look into that. Yeah, book 12, book 13. So let's see. The last 4 books, 11 through 14, provide a more or less continuous outline of history. So they should be taken together, I suppose. But yeah, that's interesting. Why there is no 9 and 10.
7, 8, 9. I know that.
Wow. Good job. Yeah, it looks like there's nothing on that either in the commentary.
MIA, though.
Yeah, not even a note about it. Which is unfortunate. But I guess we'll find out more about that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I'll look it up. It's
I'm
probably
looking
some
into it, and
probably
I
some
don't
textual
see
thing.
Anything about the 9th Sibyl?
Okay, yeah, it's probably some textual thing where it's just has been lost in time. People still quoted it. So bummer there, but whatever. That's okay. We can just go to the next book, which would be 11. Weirdly enough, and then people would be wondering where are the other books. But either way, thanks for joining us today.
Check us out on Patreon, be on the show, be in our hangouts, enter t-shirt giveaways. Hey, if you don't want to enter into t-shirt giveaway, you can just, go on our Teespring and buy a t-shirt. In fact, you can click the pinned product right there. Go buy that.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, do it right now.
We have 3 shirts for no reason.
Yeah, for some. Well, we have more shirts on the store. Don't worry.
Certainly, the store looks that way. Yes.
Yeah. So the store has a bunch of shirts, but for some reason on our merch page, it's only showing 3 of the shirts, which is weird. I'll have to look into that too.
Very weird.
You keep screwing up. This is not the first time.
I fixed it.
You did, and I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the YouTubes.
Yeah, it must be YouTube. Let's see what else we got. We have an Amazon wish list. We got a lot of books on there. You can get some books. Maybe put those books on this table, or perhaps put the books in our brains, because we will read them, and then we will disseminate the information that we gained from those books to your brains through video format.
And this episode of Friday Apocryphal Podcast is made possible by Nord Shadow Legends.
Nord Shadow Legends.
Shadow Legends.
Yep.
The
you ever need a
audiobook
VPN
service.
while you're clicking buttons in mobile game? Ooh, that's tough. Someone's trying to DDoS you while you're in the middle of your intense fight. Ooh, man, that's tough. We've
Not
all
gonna
been in that
happen
situation.
with Nord Shadow Legends.
Not going to happen with Nord Shadow Legends. VPN built in. Every frame of the game has you at a different IP address.
Are you looking up
No,
Nord Shadow
I want to
Legends?
make an AI logo, but you don't have that hotkey, so I'm not going to bother.
Okay, yeah.
That would be funny. We could make a Nord Shadow Legends logo in AI.
It sounds like so bad.
Just
Let's not.
use our 732 case-sensitive character password in order to get 20% off your purchase
Of whatever.
of Nord Shadow Legends.
That's horrible. So anyways, thanks for joining us for the show. All links to everything else are in the description,
You
just
made it
like...
this far, I guess you've got an immaculate bosom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you made it this far, make sure you tell us about your immaculate bosom
In the
or of any
comments.
immaculate bosoms you may know of.
Indeed.
Yes.
And with that, we will see you,
See you on
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, I guess. And also other links like Facebook.